I'm testing again here for Taran on the Donets because the Taran, it's simply worth it for the silver, for the XP you get, and of course also for the skill points for float fishing. Yesterday evening, I was still riding with the player Nixon, and he talked about a pretty successful spot here on the Donets where you can catch Taran quite well. And that's exactly what I'm testing a little right now, in different versions. So I've been standing at this spot now for a good 14 minutes. The whole thing already looks really good. But first, of course, I'm also testing how I position myself here at the spot. Do I let the baits drift toward me, or rather away from me? And at the moment, I'm rather doing it so that the baits drift away from me. That means I place myself on the other side of the spot, so to speak. And now I'm letting the bait drift right through here in this green area, just once completely through. I'm also testing whether it doesn't work if we simply set the line clip here. And then the floats, or rather the baits, lie exactly in the area where they are supposed to lie. A small disadvantage depending on which rig you are using. Here with my match rod, the disadvantage is that it's a kind of sliding float rig. And sliding float rigs simply cause the bait to move upward, while the float keeps drifting further in the current. Of course, that's a small disadvantage, and that means in reverse, we are no longer at 90 centimeters depth, like I said it before. Instead, the float drifts until it cannot drift anymore. And through this sliding float rig, it also takes the last meters, meaning the depth that you set, along with it. What you could, of course, do here would be to use a leader. Let's just take the fluorocarbon leader with 40 centimeters length here. I'll also set a line clip of 7 meters again. And now we let the bait stand in the line clip, so to speak. And the moment the first fish comes, the line clip opens and we can strike immediately. So this would be the ideal method to fish in the current. However, it only works really well if the floats are nice and far out toward the water so that the line stands properly in the current. If you only have a short rod, then the bait lands directly close to the shore here. And of course, we don't want that. Accordingly, you have to look at maybe even doing the whole thing with a Bolognese rod. So, set the line clip to 7 meters, cast it out loosely. And now here in this case, we also do it again. 7 meters line clip set, cast out again. And now you can see it again. The baits, the floats, they are now drifting into the line clip. As soon as a fish comes, the line clip will open immediately. Zach, now it bit. And in this case, we can lift immediately. And then of course we have the fish hooked relatively quickly. So back into the line clip again. And as I said, this works best when we have rods that are long enough. That is a very important point. A rod pod helps, of course, in this case, or a long Bolognese rod, 6, 7, 8 meter Bolognese rods. That already makes sense for this kind of fishing. And then, of course, you can calmly use the Bolognese rig, or you simply use a fixed float rig. Because with these two rig types, you have the possibility to set the bait depth firmly. So the bait doesn't keep moving upward all the time. And you also don't need to use a leader because you can set the bait depth exactly the way you want it, without the bait being pulled upward by the float. I have also explained this several times already in different fishing videos, for example on the Yama. It always works really well there too. So the method with the line clip here is always really fun again. But you can also simply let it drift through. That's what I did at the beginning. The first fish here were caught classically without a line clip. So you can simply stand here, cast out loosely, and then let the whole thing drift through. Like here again right now. And then also vary it a little. By the way, at the beginning I was completely without ground bait here. I only mixed it together afterwards just now. And even with the ground bait, it still works quite well. I would say the fish maybe became a little bigger, but even without ground bait, you can actually stand here and already fish for Taran. And the whole thing will of course also work with the telescopic rod. That is also possible without any problem. Just let it drift through here in this area, and then Zach, pull it back again. Simply when the float has drifted through and there was no bite, then with the telescopic rod, just pull it back and let it drift through again. And then of course repeat the whole thing from the beginning until the next fish is there. Well, look at that. Yes, one Taran after another. The frequency is good. The silver, I think by now we all know, is really good with Taran, so it's absolutely worth it. And now of course you only have to look at what you do during the night, because during the night the fish is not active. And that means we have to look for something else at night. So either with the float, or simply fish here in the area with an earthworm, with a manure worm. Just throw different worm types in here, because that also works regularly quite well here. Yes, 20 minutes now here at the spot. The whole thing is actually running quite well. I think we also have all the important information. So, coordinates here at 100-167, or you simply stand over here on the other side. That is also definitely a possibility if you want to let the baits or floats drift through here like this. For me, the tree was constantly in the way here. That's why I went over here. And I also like to fish in a way where I let the baits or floats stand in the current, because that's simply very practical with this line clip. So you can actually do that quite well if you want it a little more relaxed. The moment the fish arrives, zack, the line clip opens and the fish is already hooked. Otherwise, of course, you also have to use the boat. We are here on the other bank, so definitely drive over here once with the boat. I even left the boat back there. Zack just drove straight across, walked down this piece here, and then out here with the 3 rods. And the whole setup here is built completely toward 5.5 kilograms. So theoretically, you can simply stand here with a mono line, use a leader around 5 kilograms. That fits quite well. Size 6 hook here, and pearl barley porridge as bait. And of course, the whole thing also works with solo pearl barley porridge. You don't absolutely need the double bait for that. Of course, you have a better catch rate with the double bait, because the double bait lures 1 + 1 = 2.5. So it attracts a bit more than the normal bait. Well look, Zack, now it goes in here. Even with the normal bait it works, of course. So you don't necessarily have to use the double bait here. But if you can, then of course you gladly take it along. More attraction is always good. Now we will take a quick look into the net. Yes, we don't even have 30 minutes here at the spot testing, so I'm already completely satisfied. And I just remembered, I also hadn't shown the ground bait yet. Let's take a look at that first. So these are the components. Pearl barley, of course, as the base. Maggots are in it, castors are in it, bloodworms are also in it, which in English are called bloodworms. Millet porridge is in it, and caramel as aroma. These are all components that you also have in the normal roach ground bait mix. And here with Taran, it works quite well like this too. Especially, as I said, pearl barley porridge as the base, when we also use pearl barley porridge as the bait. That is of course obvious. So first look into the cafe. Unfortunately, we have nothing in there, nothing that is interesting right now. But maybe a few roach or more gibel will come in on the side. By the way, Nays was also at the spot, but only when I fished with bark beetle larvae. It was mostly the same with gibel. In combination with bark beetle larvae, the gibel showed up. So it actually worked best when fishing here with solo pearl barley porridge. Yes, and now, for the 30 minutes, that is already over 280 silver. So you can really do that very well. 14 to 15 silver for one fish like that is sensational. So you can make really nice cash with it, and it's super easy. You can make the ground bait relatively quickly, and you can produce the pearl barley porridge very easily. If you don't yet know how to make pearl barley porridge, definitely check out how to scale forward bait production the fastest, because pearl barley porridge is one of the first baits you can craft. Accordingly, the whole thing is perfect for beginners. Just stand here with the telescopic rod, pearl barley porridge, and attack silver and XP. So much about the whole spot. Thanks again to Nixon for sharing. If this helped you, leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and we will see each other again in the next video. Tight lines.